Welcome to the channel. It's that time when we talk about all of the latest motorsport stories that have happened this week and if there's any motorsport to watch this weekend. So let's get straight into it. First things first, this is the car channel. Gone in 60 seconds. Please do go along and like and subscribe. Plenty of new videos have hit the channel in the last week, including a review of the new 26 Volkswagen e-Transporter shuttle, the Q2 Motability price list and the Hyundai Ioniq 9. Also, we've got the Peugeot 5008 review on there, which is a really big one because I took it on a road trip, so that is a really good watch. Loads more coming up. We've just filmed the Renault 4, so plenty to see and do. WEC F1 and Motorsport, that is this channel. So if you're not subscribed to this one or the other one, please do make sure you subscribe to both. It really does help us make more of these. And that's where you'll find all the latest motorsport news going up online. Right, so let's talk about the various stories that I found that are quite interesting. So first of all, Alpine have released a statement where they are denying the fact that they are sabotaging Colapinto's car. Do you think they're doing that? I mean, you don't pay X amount of millions of pounds to go play race cars and then hobble one of your cars. It's quite likely that you've got one driver that's not quite as good as the other. And Pierre Gasly has been pretty brilliant so far this year. Colapinto has scored a 1 point so far this year. So they say the team endeavours to put the two fastest cars on track and provide equal opportunity for both drivers to be competitive and score points. Standard stuff, right? And then it says, in some instances, given the need to fast-track parts and carefully manage the manufacturing process, the team is only available to bring select parts or upgrades to events. So they're saying we always provide equal machinery, but there are occasions where we only bring one set of kit, and that would obviously go to Pierre, because Pierre. So they're kind of saying one thing and taking it back. Let's be honest. I don't know what people are saying on the internet, but it seems like people are leaving hate comments for Colapinto. They're not hobbling one of their cars on purpose. That just wouldn't happen. Colapinto probably is not as good as Pierre Gasly. He might be in the future with enough time practicing, with enough time to get better, with enough support. He may become very good in the future. Let's be perfectly honest though. A lot of this has come about of the crash, because of the crash in Japan, and we'll talk about that a bit later, but Colapinto wasn't actually to blame for that. He didn't do anything wrong. His line was the same as it was on every lap that race. So let's move on. Right, GT World Challenge. First race, I believe, is next weekend, so we'll come to that. Let's have a look, actually, calendar. So test days, prologue are this week, and then Circuit Paul Ricard for the round one of the GT World Challenge Endurance Cup, and that is next weekend. So we'll look at that in the calendar next week. But there is a lot to love about this, because there's some very exciting cars, very exciting new colours. It does look like Lamborghini are going to do well. The pre-event favourite is BMW, which has won the race back-to-back. It's trio of cars, which compromises a pair from Team WRT and another one from Rowe Racing. So Rafael Marcello, Kevin van der Linde and Valentino Rossi. I mean, it's going to be absolutely brilliant racing. Mercedes-AMG are going to be a contender with 3 factory-supported teams, including the new addition from Verstappen Racing. As we know, Porsche, Ford, Ferrari all have upgraded cars. The grid features 59 cars, 10 brands and over 30 rookies. So you've got Aston Martin, Audi, BMW, Corvette, Ford, Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes-AMG and Porsche. So Porsche have got 10 cars. More than 30 series rookies on the grid, including the impressive trio of Lance Stroll, Roberto Merhi and Mari Boyer. On board the number 18 Aston Martin. So Lance Stroll making this... do you know what? I mean, I've been talking before about Lance Stroll perhaps being moved sideways to Le Mans or the WEC programme or whatever. I think he's actually going to be quite good at this. Secretly, I think he's going to be quite good. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, if you're in a car that's as bad as the Aston Martin is in F1, you're going to want to get some racing kicks elsewhere, aren't you? Look, this series is going to be absolutely fantastic this year, and it's going to be well worth watching. We've got a little bit of a gap now in F1, so it is worth watching other forms of motorsport that are happening. So Next week, I'll tell you the times on and how you can watch it, but it is really, really good. There's so many brilliant names, a really good circuit in Paul Ricard, and the cars just absolutely fantastic. On that subject, actually, the official WEC livery reveal for the Genesis Magma Racing hypercar has been released, and it looks absolutely fantastic. There it is, look, in all its glory. I don't know if we're allowed to play it, but I'm sure we are. It looks fantastic. I think it looks absolutely stunning. There you go. Lots of orange, lots of silver. I think that looks fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing that in the flesh. Right, then next up, James Vowles does a Vowles verdict video at the end of every Grand Prix. This is particularly fascinating this week. You have to go and watch it on the Atlassian Williams F1 team page. It's particularly fascinating because he talks a lot about what he thinks are going to change in the rules, and he doesn't think a lot's going to change in the rules because you've got this gap now in between the races where the teams are going to meet with the FIA and Formula One management, and they're going to discuss if they need to make any changes to the new rules. And his opinion seems to be that they may make some tweaks to the qualifying, but they'll probably leave the racing as it is because the actual racing is pretty good. If we look here, Lauren Mekes has given a long-form interview to F1. That's on the F1 website, and in there he said something very, very similar. He said the racing is actually very good, and lots of people are saying they really enjoying the racing. So do we think that this, like here you've got Ferrari and Mercedes are both saying the Japanese Grand Prix was brilliant, and I thought it was great. Obviously there are some people that aren't enjoying it, but I think the racing itself is great. The qualifying is perhaps where the tweaks need to come in. And I know people are talking about the issue with this being the crash you had between Bearman and Colapinto, because of Colapinto lifting off before the corner, which means you've got this massive closing speed, but you've kind of always had an element of that in F1. Maybe they need to improve the lights on the back of the car or something to so you can see that that's going to happen. Maybe the engineers need to be better on the phone telling the driver, look, this car's ahead of you and he's going to be slower into that corner, because they know that sort of stuff, right? And Colapinto didn't do anything wrong in that crash at all. There was a big closing speed. Maybe there could be something to do with to fix that, but I think it would involve making all of the cars a lot slower, because you just make less deployable energy, and I don't think anyone really wants that. So I don't necessarily think it's a massive safety issue. Yes, it was a nasty crash, right? And I think it probably could have been avoided by both parties. Maybe if you know you're going to have to lift off, get out of the way. Maybe that's the answer. You know, if your car is not fast enough into the corner, then you need to get out of the way, don't you? Maybe that's too simplistic. But the actual racing is very good. It's just in qualifying we're struggling a bit because cars aren't being able to go full chat into the corner, late on the brakes, and then turn a car in. You're not that edge where you find out who the best driver is. You're not getting that anymore, and that's the bit that probably needs to change. F1 Academy have announced, that they've got 3 race weekends in Montreal and Austin. So during those 2 weekends, they'll have 3 different races. This then brings them back up to the right amount of races they were going to have for the year, following the Bahrain and Jeddah cancelled or postponed rounds of Formula One. So they've moved very quickly to make sure they've still got the right number of races on. And it's not going to incur them any more costs either, is it? Because the kit is already going to Montreal and it's already going to Austin, and they're just going to have the 3 races in those weekends, which will be great. Last but not least is Verstappen saying he could walk away from F1 at the end of 2026 over the new rules. And this is a big talking point, because Verstappen is well known to throw his toys out the pram when he's not getting what he wants. And that's my opinion, right? I think if he was winning, he wouldn't be saying this. So, I don't think they're going to make changes just for Verstappen, that's for sure. You know, he's always been a bit wishy-washy about what he wants to do in the future, and it may well be that he doesn't enjoy it as much because it is a different type of formula. But my suspicion is that he's not enjoying it as much because he's not winning. That's my personal point of view. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Do you think, well, if you're not enjoying it, go away, good riddance to you? Or do you think maybe F1 needs to do more? So let me know in the comments what you think below. Then last of all, we're going to have a look at the calendar, and it's empty. So M Sport Extra calendar, and there's nothing on this weekend. So no racing to tell you about this weekend, but there is next weekend. So come back next week for that. I'm sure though, it's like an off season because we've got 5 weeks without a race, but there is going to be an awful lot to talk about because we've got the rule changes, we've got the season so far, we've got all sorts of driver news stories coming out. You know, where does Carlos Sainz go if Williams don't get any better? Where does Verstappen go if he doesn't want to be at Red Bull? What happens with Russell if Antonelli keeps beating him? Lots and lots of questions about the driver market coming up, and are we going to see some big changes next year? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and that's it for this week. We will say goodbye, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.